Well, hi, everyone.
Hi, rabbis.
Can I say just again how much I loved our conversation last week?
It was
It
really nice.
was, yeah. So thank you. And here we are, now on the other side of Tisha B'av, and last Shabbat we started these Shev de Nechemta, which are these Haftarah portions. So these portions from writings from the prophets that actually, and all of them are from Isaiah, that take us into a new year. And they're Shev, there's 7 of them. And I think in this way, then it's helping us to see that we're creating something new going forward into a new year. And I love that we actually start with comfort and then we continue with comfort and renewal. And so I don't know, there's this part from actually from the first of the 7 Haftarot of comfort. There's this part from Isaiah chapter 40 that I just love. He says, "V'nigla kavod Adonai, ra'u chol basar yachtav, ki pi Adonai diber," which means that in this way, the glory of God or the kavod of God, the presence of God, is going to be revealed so that all flesh can be together because God said it should be so. And I know that this is such a strange time for us to feel like we're all coming together. But I also have to say that it gets into that notion of creation where the first human being was created. And then what happens is that they're separated, but only to come together, only to be able to be in relationship. And I feel like that no matter how we do this, no matter if we're in person together or we're actually connecting like this, we're coming together to be able to take comfort and to begin something new. And so I wanted to ask you, what brings you comfort as you're thinking about us coming together into a new year?
All right, well, I'm going to jump in, and it's going to be a very obvious answer based on where I sit right now, but it's also connected to you guys over there and our kids. So what I have found a lot of comfort in is resilience. That I don't necessarily always feel it off of my colleagues and my fellow adults, but I see it all the time in kids and these campers. And then I saw it this morning with the Gan Shalom kids. And when I was looking at these kids, 4 classrooms, they were all sitting on the floor. Some of them had little masks on, some of them had them under their chins. They'd all kind of found like their own little groove with it. One was hanging off an ear, and they just were super resilient about it and just thankful, grateful to be hanging with each other. And the simplicity of understanding that kind of contentment is so much wiser then I used to be much wiser, I guess. And so I'm inspired that if they can get there with the very, very many challenges that they have absorbed, seen, witnessed, and been experiencing themselves, they keep smiling and singing and dancing, and it makes me feel like, okay, I can manage just about anything. So that's before whom I stand, and that's where my comfort comes these days. So, yeah.
You know what I love also about that, Cantor, is that you're enabling that experience. That the kids are happy and they're reflecting that love and joy because you're bringing it with them.
Mhm.
So they're bringing it to you and you're bringing it to them, and that's how we come together.
Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
love that. I love that.
Yeah, we are
Yeah,
together.
those moments with God are just so nice. Like to start a Friday that way with just singing with God is so wonderful. And one of the thing that I'm thinking about for this Nechemta, this Shev de Nechemta, and the aspect of like what's making me feel good is also going back to our text that we're in Deuteronomy, and we like just started Deuteronomy about 2-3 weeks ago, and it's so much of a repetition of what has happened in Torah already. It's like, please just make sure you know this stuff. And so going back to our roots, now that we've been in this COVID time for so long, is really we've had enough time to take that step back and be like, okay, what's like real? What is ongoing? What are the things that like we can do to make ourselves feel better? Not just like being sad that we can't go somewhere, but getting more creative in reinventing and retelling ourselves what it is that is important. So one of the things was, and Mayan and I love to go out to dinner because we get that one-on-one time, just talk and be with each other. And since we're not going out to dinner, we've made some nice dinners and sat out on our patio, turned on some music, and just like sat out there and talked. And so going back to our roots in the same way that Deuteronomy goes back, that's been really giving me that nachamu, that feeling of goodness.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. That's how I was thinking about the creativity of how we're coming together right now. And I've also been on your balcony, and I found it comforting too. It's a, many of you have great balconies. So, but I think for me, I don't know, I think there was this real worry about technology before this pandemic, like what is it doing to people, and do we need each other anymore? And these really big questions came up. And I think those questions are really important. And I think that in some ways, those questions have been answered in this pandemic, that we don't want to live in a world that is just technological and that where we're only connecting online. And that I find that to be very comforting, to have that kind of answered in a way that feels to me deeply solid. And it's like, yeah, going forward, maybe, we'll do more things online, but so many of us are aching to be together again, that we just realize so clearly like how we need each other. And the technology allows us to show up for each other in new and really exciting ways. And so the other night, I was just kind of like having a medium night, and my phone started ringing, and I haven't figured out how my apartment buzzer works. So I get a phone call, and I just keep getting it. And I'm like, okay, I guess I should go down to the door to like see if anyone's there, what's going on. And my friends in New York had sent me a bunch of pints of Jenny's ice cream that they just had delivered to my front door. And that was just so incredible that, my friends in New York who knew I was in a bad mood was able to just, pay some person to bring me ice cream. And it was so comforting and so awesome. And so I love that I don't love that we are feeling the need to be together, but I love that we're finding ways to do it anyways.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, Rabbi.
And Jenny's is the best, so.
It was so good.
I remember, I've shared this a couple of times in different ways with our community, but that my brother Josh had written this just beautiful passage about reflecting on this time. And he said that when we finally get to be together again, let us remember how much we missed each other. And I just feel like I'm constantly in that state of longing to be together, and also wanting to always long in this way, and notice that when we are together that, I should be appreciating you this much always. And I'll say that something that brings me comfort coming into this new year and these 7 Shabbatot, and really feeling like we're in the beginnings of something that begins with comfort, is looking at the planning of the High Holy Days and realizing that it's going to be different, but feeling such comfort that if it's going to be different, at least I'm going to be with the people who I love most. Do you know that if there was ever a time where things were going to be so different, let me spend it with the Temple Sholem community. Let me make sure that those are the people who are going to be surrounding me in these new ways this year. That to me feels so comforting. And as we look at what Torah portions, how are we going to be doing Torah, all of these things, it just, in some ways, Rabbi Gelman, it reminds me a little bit of what you said as far as that Deuteronomy, this repetition. We come back to our comfort spots because they have wisdom to teach us that speaks to us so differently this year, and yet that wisdom remains. And that brings me so much comfort preparing for these days and knowing that I'm going to be able to have the embrace of Temple Sholem.
I'm enjoying preparing it, and I see the technology, as confusing as it is, I do see it as a gift. But at the same time, I agree with you, Rabbi Singer, that I worried a little bit that somebody would say this was better this way, but nobody, everybody said this was passable, or this was good, this was great, but everyone said, but I can't wait until.
Yeah.
And something that I also think about is how, that there are people in our community who haven't been able to get out to the High Holy Days with us in some years, that they've been homebound, and I've loved that we're able to come there to them. And, and I love that people can call into services, that it's, you don't have to have a fancy computer or anything else, except for if you have a phone, you can call in and be with your community. And what I love about right now is that we can hear and we can talk and we can all be together. And I'm excited also that we'll have some of those smaller gatherings over Elul and then into the High Holy Days as well, with having smaller portions of us being able to gather together. I can hardly wait. Yeah. Wow. Well, gosh, this conversation brought me comfort.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Fired me up for High Holy Days.
I know. I love it. Well, take care, everybody. And it was wonderful to be able to share this time with you.